Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I'm Chris Clements.
And California burns.
It is a really sad state of affairs. I mean, I can't even kid about it or make a joke.
There's no joking.
It is. You know, when I first went to Los Angeles and went to school at the University of Southern California, back then it was much more of a commuter school than it is now. And so everybody went home on the weekends, and I had no home to go home to. And so I had some friends who were going to Pepperdine. One of my best friends from high school was a student there, and got to know a lot of his friends, and they became my friends. And I can't tell you, my freshman year, I went every weekend. I was in Malibu, John's Garden, all these places. And then when Malibu starts, they're paying the Real Inn at Duke's, and to watch this and all those homes along the beach gone. And having dealt with the Coastal Commission before on a development that I did with a friend of mine out in Malibu, I can honestly tell our listeners, none of those homes are coming back.
Yeah, that's so interesting you bring that up because I was actually going to say
none of those, ladies and gentlemen. You don't understand the and part of this reason why this is all happening also is the environmental regulations in California are just completely unworkable when it comes to environmental management. And to get anything built along the coast is literally an act of God. It took us 5 years to get our development done, mostly because the Coastal Commission has all these rules, regulations, parameters that you have to meet. Every single business, not so much on the east side of PCH, but every single business, every single home on that west side of PCH that is gone will never come back.
Yeah.
The Coastal Commission will look at it as an opportunity to just raise it and return it to the ocean.
Right. They have wanted to undevelop the coast for years.
Yes.
This is what, a 9-member commission?
Yeah. They are socialists.
And they are the epitome of socialists.
They are absolutely
communists.
Yeah, communists. And so none of that development is coming back. It's really sad. I saw a post from the Real Inn, which, gosh, that brings back some memories.
Yeah.
And Pacific Palisades. I mean, my senior year, I was living in a condo in Brentwood, and my roommate at the time, Craig Turner, Turbo. I don't know if he's still out there. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but his parents had this beautiful home in Palisades, and we just used to go to the village and hang out.
Yeah.
And there was a couple bars there we would go to, and my vitamin shop was at Palisades Village, and just that whole coastline. I thought at one point my daughter Grace would go to Pepperdine.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing about Pepperdine that people don't talk about, those buildings are like fireproof.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're completely fireproof. And so the safest place in Malibu is the library or the commons, the cafeteria at Pepperdine.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting.
Well,
I actually woke. I had a nightmare last night about my house burning down, like just from watching all that.
Yeah,
and I was up at 1 a.m. and I found the end of the internet.
Yeah.
Just all this, and then the conspiracy theories of everything that's happening. There's UFOs flying in and out of the smoke.
Yes. Well, and I think so this warrants a discussion about how does this happen? And there are a multitude of reasons. There isn't just one reason. It's not just Newsom. It's not just Karen Bass.
Well, and it's not unique to California.
Right.
Well, California is the poster child. But the environmental policies that have been pursued by administration after administration, Republicans and Democrats, to not manage our forests and our parks has brought us to this moment.
But it goes even beyond that. It's not just the administrations. It's the fact that you have two organizations in particular, the Sierra Club
yes,
and the Center for Biological Diversity.
Yes.
That's based in Tucson.
Yes.
Those two organizations have done more
Yeah, because it's not really about the environment. It's about suing and making. It's
they
about
have
the money.
sued to stop the controlled burns in California, in Utah, in Arizona, in Montana. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, you can go on my Twitter. I quote tweeted a guy that shows the lawsuit that the Sierra Club filed. This shows the lawsuit that the Center for Biological Diversity filed.
Yeah, they don't
These
want
people
clear cutting. They
are
don't want
anti-human.
absolutely.
They're anti-human.
They would rather see a dead tree burn, and then those ashes flow into homes and developments than they would just properly managing the forests, properly managing our parks.
Yeah, I mean they don't want people on this earth. That's really
I've never
bottom
heard
line.
it framed that way, but you have to come to that conclusion.
There is no other conclusion. When you look at what they are doing as they pursue these lawsuits to stop the Forest Service, stop the BLM, stop all these agencies, state agencies, federal agencies, from doing the kinds of things that they need to do, control the underbrush, controlled burns, rake the forest, whatever processes that they have to clear out this underbrush, which is the problem, they've sued to stop.
Well, underbrush, overgrowth, dead, trees that have died by disease or anything else because of all those elements.
Yeah. And then the things that, California's in particular, because you got the state agencies and local agencies make it, it's not just the two organizations that sued, but then they've got regulatory stuff in California that's problematic. And then there's water policy.
Well,
in California.
And the California water policy is a complete disaster.
Complete disaster.
And kudos to Arizona for being proactive on water policy.
Absolutely.
We've been very proactive, and it hasn't been so far left here yet. It can go that way.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure it doesn't.
We need to, California needs to be a warning to Arizona about what not to do on the water policy.
Oh, completely.
Because they had, California had record-breaking rainfall last year,
record
huge
snow
snowpack, and they just watched trillions of gallons of water go into the ocean.
Yeah.
Because they have decommissioned dams, they've taken storage out of the system. I mean, yet again, the Sierra Club, Center for Biological Diversity, Sierra Club has been on the leading edge of trying to decommission as many dams as they can, but they have been the leader in, this is going back 20 some years, maybe 30 years now. They wanted to drain Lake Powell.
Well, yes.
They wanted to
do that
decommission
forever. And it's
Glen Canyon
insane.
Dam. Yeah. And so there isn't a dam that the Sierra Club sees that they don't want to tear down.
Yeah.
That is
reservoir.
anti-human.
Or reservoir.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to drain the reservoirs, tear down the dams, because they don't want human development.
No, they want us to go back to living in caves and eating, living off the land. They have this really strange understanding of human existence. I've never really heard it put that way, but I think it's absolutely correct.
They're just flat out anti-human. And prove me wrong.
No.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, you can't.
I can't prove you wrong because having grown up and lived in Tucson, the Center for Biological Diversity has stopped any type of promise for that community.
Yeah.
Because of their
total
and complete insanity towards environmental policy.
They're suing on behalf of a snail darter or a cactus pygmy owl or peregrine falcon.
The owl question down in Tucson forever was just a joke. It was just a complete and total joke.
Here's a little blast from the past and a
stupid little owl.
A little trivia point for you. One of the founders of the Center for Biological Diversity, a doctor named Robin Silver, was John Shattuck's primary opponent in his first re-election, 1996.
I kind of remember that. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Those guys have been the bane of my existence.
It's about as far left as you can get.
Yeah,
right?
They are. But he ran as a Republican. Robin Silver ran as a Republican, claiming he's a Republican. He's not a Republican. He's anti-human.
Yeah. It's about as far left as you can get. And it's kept groups like that, going back to my hometown, have kept that place stuck for decades.
Yeah.
No development, no business, no nothing, no growth.
And
just no.
And for, a lot of people, so any of our listeners outside of Arizona or California,
or outside the West, because I made a point on a message board or something yesterday that, the best thing that Trump can do and Burgum can do coming in as Secretary of the Interior, get BLM out of Washington, D.C., take the entire Department of the Interior out of D.C.
Get it out to the West.
Put it in Denver, put it in Salt Lake, put it in Phoenix. There's plenty of BLM land here in Arizona.
A ton of BLM.
Tons. Go to where you are managing.
Yeah.
Be close to what your assets are, because then you understand what the issues are.
Yeah.
You can't understand what the issues are.
The crown jewel of the
DC.
National Park Service is Grand Canyon.
Is the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. They should have the
and everything north of there in Utah and Colorado and everything
else.
else.
What I was going to say is if you're from Arizona or obviously California, I don't know. I think most people in Arizona probably personally know someone who's been impacted by this fire. These fires.
So
I have I have a number of friends who have been evacuated, and I have at least one that I know of that's lost their home, which is just terrible. Everything gone.
Yeah, my best friend Craig Roth and his wife Brooke are housing his brother right now, because the house they were renting, which apparently did not burn down but was near the Getty, they were forced into evacuation. Yeah, and the house that they're redoing their own house, which is in Malibu and hasn't reached that far. But then this morning, they're in Thousand Oaks, power's out.
Oh, geez.
Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village, and it's constant. Every year, you've got to buckle up because the mismanagement by California is so egregious and so pathetic.
Yeah.
And I think Trump had it correct, Gavin Newsome. How do you like that? That new name. And then Karen Bass. What the heck is her deal?
Yeah.
She's being asked by reporters are actually asking her. This is the mayor of Los Angeles, who I don't believe she won. I believe they found the votes late at night. And she sort of won.
Okay. I think it's a pretty liberal city.
And
I don't doubt that she won.
And she's getting off the plane. They're asking her questions about her 17.5% cut in fire service and all her other budgetary priorities, and she won't answer the question.
Well, she
refuses to lead.
She cut the fire budget. The fire chief in L.A. has been focused on DEI.
Oh, and all her deputies too.
Yeah,
it's a complete joke. They run out of water.
Yeah,
fighting the fire, and then and when that happens, at that point, you don't want firefighters losing their lives, so they back off and they
have to,
and they watch it burn.
Yeah, they have no choice if they watch it burn. No water to fight.
And that's what led to the fires along PCH. Yeah, they just had to back off and watch it burn. They had no water. They had no resources.
It's
unbelievable.
Tragic. Our prayers and thoughts and go out to those that are affected. And here's the challenge that there's going to be a lot of people. The state's going to have to step in because a lot of these people probably are uninsured.
Well, the insurance companies pulled out 90 days ago. Did you read about that?
Was it? I knew that in the last year that like State
Farm and people are trying to blame the insurance companies, and I get that, but California has made it so impossible to insure anybody for fire because they've tapped all the awards. They've capped everything.
Oh, I see.
They've capped all the premiums and everything else, and so there's no market.
There's no market to.
So if you're in Palisades and you're most of those, the misnomer about Palisades is that everyone there has these big homes and they're very rich, and Palisades is very much a middle class, a little upper middle class, but many people there, their wealth is
the
their
house.
home.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
And now it's gone.
Right.
And now what? And they don't have insurance.
Right. Yeah. And
The-
for
the-
those that either get an insurance check or have the resources to rebuild, guys, this is not going to happen quickly.
Oh, no.
The building process in California is going to take years. And just as we talked about on the coast, Coastal Commission is not going to allow any building. But,
Nope.
you even your standard home in Palisades or Malibu or whatever, I'm telling you, it's going to take years
Decades.
for these people to get.
I mean, it took 5 years for a home
My
in
guess
Corral
is-
Canyon for us.
My guess is we're going to have a bunch of people leaving California. They're going to get their insurance check and they're going to be like,
Or their government check.
worth it.
I would imagine there's going to be a huge
out.
bailout.
yeah, I think there's a lot of people leaving California after this.
Yeah.
Because it's not so much that they left because of the fires. They'll leave because they can't continue their lives.
Well, they're
because
leaving
the regulatory system will make it impossible to rebuild or make it super challenging.
Yeah, I
and
saw some posts
draw
on
it out.
Instagram by several of my friends who have moved to Nashville, and they're like, "Get out." I mean, they're basically saying, "Best thing we ever did was getting out of there because the policies there are so pathetically leftist that they don't allow for human flourishing.
Right.
They only promote human degradation."
I mean, this really is going to be a good test because you can't get much more liberal than these parts of Malibu and Palisades. And
Oh, no.
So these liberal voters who probably voted for Newsom, probably voted for Bass. No, I mean, not if you're in Malibu, but if you're in LA, they are now going to reap that reward.
Oh yeah.
And my guess is that it's going to start to change the thinking of some of those folks.
I mean, we talk a lot on the show about the pendulum swings back and forth, and that's one of the reasons why Trump is president right now. The pendulum swung hard the other way because the left went so far left. Mm-hmm. How far left is left for California? That's the biggest question.
Well,
especially for the left coast, because when I talk to friends, most of my friends in California, they're relatively libertarian. Like, they like low taxes and they like less regulation, but they're very liberal socially. They're kind of everything goes.
Yeah.
And so what's it going to take?
Well, I think because there isn't a cultural issue. I mean, this isn't.
This is an economic
this
and
is
government
your
issue.
life. This is very personal. And if you cannot rebuild your home, it's going to have an impact on your thinking.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's going to be like, wait, what? I have to do what? It's going to take
because
how
most
long?
of these people, other than the remodel here or there, have not been impacted by. So many of those homes were bought at a time when homes were relatively affordable in those areas.
Well, not only that,
and
but
they've
they
held
didn't have
on
the
to them
building-
for decades.
And they didn't have the regulatory codes that are there now.
Nope.
And I'm just telling you, it's going to take a long time for this to get redeveloped. And there'll be a lot of people who just say, screw it, I'm out.
Yeah,
'Cause they're not gonna go through that
If they can get
process.
some restitution.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of folks. I mean, just looking at the village of Palisades online last night, just seriously, I was up at 2 a.m. just seeking the end of the internet.
Yeah.
And it keeps growing. I mean, not just Palisades. I mean, Pasadena and Hollywood Hills. I mean, did they save the Hollywood sign? Because last night when I went to bed, it seemed like it was gonna burn.
Was it?
And in the Hollywood Bowl, I was having dinner and there was fires around the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
Well, so iconic pieces of our country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing, and I need to check in with Frank, but Frank Luntz has a home in Brentwood, so he's down the hill from the Getty. He sent a video yesterday. I think he actually posted it on Twitter today. Sent me a video yesterday taken from his bedroom. You can see just masses of smoke over the hill. He wasn't as of yesterday in the evacuation zone, but I mean, his house has so many things, artifacts.
Sure.
I mean, it is beyond museum level. And I mean, there's stuff in there that's priceless.
Yeah.
That I hope there's a way to protect it, but that would be lost in part because that's where Alyssa and I got married.
Oh, well, there you go.
At his house in Brentwood. So, yeah, our
That marriage that didn't count though.
well,
Only the recent one in June counted.
in June. Yeah. That's the
We
new
don't
official
count that one.
right? Yeah. Well, the Catholic Church doesn't. That's for sure.
Yeah. So
But, yeah.
you're all square
But
now.
I'm all squared away now.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just gonna say I wasn't invited to that one, but I was invited to the real one.
The real one, the one that matters.
The one that matters to God and everyone else.
That's right. Right.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So and then I saw some video last night. I wouldn't have of Palos Verdes. Like there's a neighborhood in Palos Verdes where the part of the neighborhood is separating, and they've had some.
A crack in the earth.
It's not a crack in the earth. The earth is actually moving.
I mean, it's literally.
And homes are moving down the hill, and
wow.
they've had to take the water mains, bring them up above ground. There's gas leaks all the time. So the entire area is not compacted anymore. It's actually shifting.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh.
You know, this, so.
And here the caliche is like bulletproof.
Yeah. So I feel like this is an opportunity for Arizona.
Oh, well, you would hope.
Because you look at the hurricane that happened in the southeast, you look at the stuff that's going on in California with earthquakes, shifting tectonic plates, and wildfires. Arizona, I mean, we have one or two major weather events per year. It's when a haboob comes through.
We have haboobs and microbursts. I would say that's probably
microbursts, but even those
happens mostly in Tucson.
I mean, they're very, very tame.
They're rare
and tame.
But when they hit, they're not a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I mean,
we have
so
we have
dirt
monsoons.
in your eyes.
Yeah, we have monsoons, which cause fires.
But my point is that we've got a vast expanse of open land that is basically weather free from the standpoint of anything that's other than heat.
Yeah,
right. We should be the manufacturing center of the world. The desert of Arizona.
Yeah.
Because, when you had the Hurricane Helene, there was a bunch of medical supply stuff that's only manufactured in North Carolina that got jammed up. Whatever they're going to, whatever the wildfires are going to, cause disruption in California. I mean, our business community should be just out there saying, come here. This is the new manufacturer. I mean, we've already got the chips.
Yeah.
TCM, Taiwan, what TCM, TSCM, TCSM?
You're
TMC?
asking the wrong person.
The Taiwanese
manufacturer,
chip guys, Intel, whatever. But, I mean, to me, it just feels like we really should just be leaning in hard on the lack of weather.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that requires leadership. Don't forget.
That's true.
Yeah. We need great leadership. And I think we have it at the Arizona Chamber, and we're going to be going to their legislative forecast lunch tomorrow. Thanks to Danny and the staff there. And I haven't been to that in a long time. So I'm kind of excited to go and see some old friends, but we're going to be seeing a lot of the vision for that's being really developed and propagated by the chamber. And we have the Goldwater Institute here too, that helps preserve our freedoms here, and the Free Enterprise Club. And we have a lot of freedom-based groups here that are formidable. And I think that's helpful.
Well, and now more than ever, we have an opportunity to kind of lean in on a low regulation, low drama state, low tax.
Yeah.
A chance.
The problem is, we have a governor that relies too much on her iPad to answer questions, and I think we're going to see a little bit of that tomorrow, because apparently Danny's going to be interviewing her. She's coming this year, but she'll have her iPad. So, I mean, Ducey got a lot of criticism for COVID, and a lot of it was, I think, rightfully so. But I think the general populace at this point, especially the business community, pretty much misses him.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know,
Are you kidding me?
you know, Doug did a
He was
tremendous
phenomenal.
job being a beacon for free enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, the growth in Arizona has been awesome, and it's because we had great leadership.
Yeah.
And he was the best champion for Arizona that we could have had.
Yeah. And so, I mean, who do you, we can pivot to this question now because it's beginning. It's stirring up. Like, who becomes the next Doug Ducey?
That's a good question.
I mean, we have the gubernatorial race is
coming
going
up
to
in 2
be,
years.
they're going to be flipping switches and taking names and making phone calls here
Yeah.
in the next 3-4 months.
Yeah, it's happening.
And and at the same time, our fair governor right now is going to be primaried.
You
Firmly
think?
believe
For
that.
sure?
I think so.
Well, I think she's done a pretty good job raising a lot of money. I think she makes it challenging. But, I mean, she's vulnerable from the standpoint of just who she is, how she campaigns, and the policies. But she has raised a lot of money. So, the two names you hear the most as far as challenging her are Adrian Fontes and Chris Mays.
Yeah. We need to have Chris Mays on the show.
We have both of them.
Yeah.
And Hobbs as well.
Think Hobbs will come on?
I don't know.
We can ask her tomorrow.
Yeah. And then on the Republican side, Kimberly Yee, term limited treasurer, who is top vote getter in Arizona.
Yeah. That's
in her last
tremendous.
election.
People forget. I mean, people really probably don't understand that fully. Like, she was the top Republican vote getter.
Yeah, I mean, she won
And
with 56% of the vote.
She won running away.
Yeah,
And no one's been able to do that.
except Ducey.
Except Ducey, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was the only one in that 2022 election that of the statewide.
Well, and even Ducey, to his credit, became good friends with his opponent,
Yeah,
Fred Duvall.
that's right.
Appointed him to the region, Board of Regents.
Right.
I've known Fred forever. Fred's a great guy.
And then, so you've got Kimberly Yee, you've got Karen Taylor Robeson thinking about it. You've got, and Trump did a shout out for her when he was.
Well,
in
I think
town.
she's running.
Is that for certain?
I don't. I just get the feeling based on people we talk to that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And then you've got there's a number of other people who I think are thinking seriously about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it should be a very competitive field.
Yeah.
But we need somebody with that temperament, that vision, that understanding of business, like our former governor.
Right.
We're definitely missing that right now.
Yeah.
Because we have so much opportunity, and I don't know if we're really capitalizing on it from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know that we are either.
But thankfully, we have competent leadership in those groups that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Who want to make Arizona
And we
a
have
bastion
and we have
and a beacon for freedom.
And we have a strong legislative leadership.
Yeah.
With
we
Warren
do.
Peterson as the Senate president and Steve Montenegro as the speaker.
Steve Montenegro, talk about a resurrection.
Yeah. Dude's he's
back in the saddle.
And
Good for him.
Leading a conservative caucus, and I think they've got big plans. I think it's going to be interesting to watch. So we'll see. With Hobbs, one of the things I wanted to raise, this is a good segue to this. It'll be interesting to see how Hobbs reacts to, she's going into her last 2 years.
Yeah.
She's got, even more Republicans in the legislature to deal with. But she's got Trump, in the White House. And what she sees is, both Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly have, Ruben Gallego has co-sponsored the Lake and Riley bill. This bill that's in the Senate that.
Senator Fetterman on the talk shows this last week has been tremendous on this issue because
Yeah.
he's the lead co-sponsor on that bill.
Right.
And I think I read yesterday, they believe they can overcome the filibuster. That they have the
They
votes.
have. Well, they've opened debate.
Did they open debate?
Yeah, they
okay,
opened
I did
debate.
not see that, but
So-
I read that. That's the end of the internet last night. I read
here,
that, but I did
Ruben
not see they were
Gallego
opening
and
debate.
Mark Kelly, both here in Arizona, are supporters of the bill.
Well, and it's what Senator Fetterman says. Like, we need to recognize why we lost, and embrace the things that are just common sense.
Yeah. I mean, how crazy.
People who commit crimes that are illegal should not be here
should be detained and deported.
and deported. It's
If you
really a
commit
very
crime.
simple thing.
I mean, you've committed a crime by coming across,
Yes.
but what this bill does is anything beyond that's a crime.
Yeah.
Because
you should
that's
be in
exactly
ICE custody, and then you should be deported.
And it's called the Laken Riley, whatever protection act. They're named after her.
Yeah, of course.
Because she was killed by an illegal alien who had been convicted of, I think it was theft, robbery, or something.
He was up in New York, and then he got shipped down to Georgia. I mean, what's happened with guys like that is just disgusting. And so much, we talked about this on our podcast the other day. I mean, so much of the policies of this administration are coming home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that this bill might be the first bill that Trump signs is just that's tremendous.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get a lot more Democrats coming their way.
Well, I mean,
Because
if you look in the House,
that recognition that
they had
we gotta-
48 Democrats in the House voted for this bill. So,
and you got to kind of wonder the rest of them, like either you're in a super safe seat where you love your sanctuary status and you rely on that to get elected, or you're just not reading the tea leaves.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of it
You're
is
just being
not.
stubborn.
Yeah, they're being stubborn. For sure. Anyone in a marginally competitive seat.
Voted for this,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look, and we've said this before. What Biden did in the policies he pursued in terms of immigration was to nationalize the issue. For decades, immigration was a Texas issue. It was a New Mexico issue. It was a California issue. It was an Arizona issue. By shipping people all over the place and flying them in from parts unknown,
Right.
Venezuela, Honduras, Haiti, and into different communities, he purposely nationalized the issue and, excuse my French, pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah.
That were his constituents.
Right. Yeah. When you've got Eric Adams, a liberal Democrat from the mayor of New York, saying we got to do something about
This
the border.
is nuts.
Chicago.
It wasn't. The governor of Florida was not shipping enough illegals up to New York, or busing them, or the governor from Texas was not busing enough to New York to make a difference. It was the fact that they were being relocated there by the administration. These late night flights into different, plane loads of illegals into different communities and just dumping them there. And then he created a huge mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost like he dared. I mean, the next administration, first of all, I don't think they believe that Trump would have gotten reelected because they thought he'd be in jail.
Yeah.
That was their plan.
That was the plan.
And then everything kind of went south.
Right. So, speaking of Biden, he gave a speech today.
Yes, he did. We are remembering the life of Jimmy Carter at the National Cathedral. I watched part of it. I watched his grandson give a really nice speech.
Mm-hmm.
Then I watched Biden very gingerly and very frailly. Is that a word? I don't know. But very frail Joe Biden, get to the podium. And he got his beats in.
Yeah.
He was fine at the end. And it was fine.
Then he fell asleep after.
I think they were all falling asleep. I think Trump was the only one that I saw that was leaning over, like listening to everything very intently.
Did Obama fall asleep?
Obama was right next to him. He looked like he was sleeping too. So a great rendition of Amazing Grace. And after Biden, I got busy.
Yeah.
And wasn't able to see the rest of it.
Well, did you see? And Biden did an interview with USA Today. His kind of an exit interview.
Oh yeah, the Wall Street Journal's been blazing on his sort of exit interview.
Well, and he said, "Yeah, I don't know if I would have lasted 4 years."
Well, the lead editorial of the Wall Street Journal, Biden's boggling exit interview. The president wishes he had signed stimulus checks like Trump. It just makes no sense.
Oh my goodness. Well,
so in the meantime, I mean, Trump is setting, everyone's hair on fire.
well,
And I need to say to our listeners, my apologies. I got it wrong the other day. It's the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America.
Not the Gulf of the United States. I don't know where
Gulf
I
of
got
America.
that. But I think it's the Gulf of America.
yeah,
And we're going to rename Greenland Trumpland.
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 Well, we talked
I
about.
think Greenland's going to happen.
Do you really?
I kind of do.
I mean,
Maybe not immediately,
It
but I think
definitely is
I
way
think
more-
there's going to be investments made in Greenland. There's going to be some negotiations about some strategic investments to be made in Greenland that basically make it ours without making it ours.
well, the thing that
Unless Denmark finally
right.
acquiesces.
I mean, the thing that people need to realize is that this isn't just a whim. I mean, this isn't just Trump being, oh, I want Greenland. We tried to get it during Truman's presidency decades ago from a strategic standpoint. The Chinese have been trying to build airports there.
Yes, which we cannot allow.
No, and they definitely there's
And that's what everybody needs to filter their understanding of what Trump is trying to do.
Yeah.
He's trying to, whether it's Canada or Panama or Greenland, it's all about the Chinese.
right. Well, and Greenland and Panama really first and foremost.
Well, if you've
the
been to
Chinese.
Vancouver,
Well, yeah. But the point is that Canada is not going to happen. I mean,
no.
but Greenland and Panama, I mean, something's going to happen.
Yeah, some strategic arrangements will be made.
And
the Chinese will get kicked out of Panama in some way.
I
shape, or
hope
form.
so
It has
because
to-
they
that
run
has to
that
happen.
company. I mean, they do. They do need to get kicked out of Panama.
Another failure by this administration.
And on Greenland, because they are a repository for some of the rare earth metals that are needed.
That we cannot let China.
No, we can't let China have that.
No.
So Trump is playing a bigger game than just an imperial
Yeah.
expansion of the United States.
Although I love the maps that are coming up. I think Ben Shapiro called the Atlantic Ocean the non-European moat.
Yeah.
Or the moat or something like that.
I mean, one thing, the Greenland, so Canada, we talked about how it would be very liberal.
Yes. But it would be a territory.
And I did figure out the math on it. It'd be 45 House members.
Okay.
And because we have a cap of House at
We'd have to
435, which we
expand.
need to uncap the House.
Yes.
If the cap were not lifted, that means that Arizona would lose a seat. A whole bunch of states would lose a seat to make room for these 45 members of Congress if Canada were to become a state.
Well, I think the objective of Trump has been achieved in terms of Canada. Because Justin
with
Trudeau
Yeah.
is gone, and Pierre Poilievre is in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
In the driver's seat. And it's his to lose at this point.
Right.
It's going to take several months for them to pick a new liberal leader. Parliament's been disbanded right now, or been put on
Yeah,
pause.
they're
It's a mess.
yeah.
It's
Canada's
a
mess.
It's a big mess.
It's a mess.
But Pierre seems to be, and I tagged him on our post the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll see it or not, but I talk about. We said it on the show the other day. Just a smart, very congenial,
Yeah. Very
really interesting guy.
down to earth.
Have you seen the video of him talking to the reporter while eating the apple?
Yeah.
That's tremendous.
Classic. It's classic.
Kind of
Just keeps-
trolling him as he.
Like,
So what
why
do you
say
mean by that?
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
What are you talking about?
So the Trump administration will be kicking off soon. We'll obviously be talking. Although next week I'll be.
We've got hearings going on.
Well, we'll have an episode early next week, and then on Thursday of next week I'll be on the road.
You'll be gone, and we'll have a special guest, Mr. Cody Ritchie of Crest Insurance, will be joining me for.
I'll be on the road, headed towards D.C., so I can do some reporting about the inauguration.
Are you going to have a remote? Are you going to?
Maybe
you should have your phone.
Yeah,
and do some.
I'll do some
little
filming.
video.
Yeah, a couple videos.
Yeah, throw those into the internets.
To the internets.
Well, that'll be great.
If I can, not freeze my fingers holding the phone.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be really
forward
cold.
To that.
Yeah.
But
hopefully we get some weather like that in Southern California.
There's going to be confirmation hearings will start this next week for, I think Pam Bondi is up first.
Pam Bondi and Pete Hegseth are the two on deck first.
I think there was some issues with some security clearance paperwork on some of these that just wasn't, the background check stuff wasn't done, and they have to wait a certain amount of days once gets to the committee before they can actually schedule the hearing. But this is going to start going, and and apparently Trump administration talked. So Trump met with the Republicans in the Senate yesterday, and he's got a plan for 100 executive orders on day one.
Yeah, they're going to have them all ready, and they're going to use the Review Act to blow up some of Biden's regulations.
Nice.
Day one.
Perfect.
The Congressional Review Act, specifically.
Love it.
And yeah.
Guys, it's going to be so much to
F around and find out.
Yeah, so much to be talking about.
F around and find out. And his poll numbers are better than they've ever been, and people seem to be happy, and on the international stage, everyone is. It's interesting to see, he's really being very bold about NATO and about different things, and people start freaking out. And I'm like, have you read the book? Have you read the book? Everyone needs to go out and just reread The Art of the Deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he approaches everything like it's a transaction.
Exactly. I mean,
everything's a transaction. Everything's a deal. Everything's negotiable. So if I say that Europe needs to start spending per country 5% out of their GDP, does he really mean that? Or else I'm going to take territory.
They're going to be happy.
Does he really mean
Because then they'll be happy with 3, which
they'll be happy with
one
3,
more than 2 that they.
Which is more than 2 than they're spending now.
Yeah.
And we're spending 3.5.
Yeah.
Which we should spend 4, but.
Yeah. Well, lots to, it will be interesting. I was going to say fun. Maybe not always fun.
It's not always going to be
fun,
but it'll be a lot better than it's been.
Yeah. No, I think that.
And where he screws up, we will call him out.
Yeah.
We are. One thing that we strive to be on the show is intellectually honest.
Yes.
And if he does something absolutely ridiculous and inane, we'll be the first ones to call him out on it.
Right. Well, if you can.
But for right now, the Gulf of America sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But if you can, do something to help those that have been affected by the wildfires in California. There's a lot of different charities that are and relief organizations.
Samaritan's Purse is on the way.
Yeah. So take a look at that. And we'll have more.
We will have more next week.
All right.
And thank you very much for listening. God bless. And pray for those in Los Angeles.
Take care, everybody.